This video covers a real criminal case, one that has captivated the public's imagination for decades, with its intricate details and brazen nature. All information presented is sourced from public court records, official police reports, and verified news sources, ensuring the accuracy and validity of the events that unfolded. On the weekend of September the 11th, 1971, a gang of thieves broke into the vault of Lloyd's bank on Baker Street in Marylebone, London. They had spent weeks tunneling beneath the pavement to reach the vault from a neighboring shop, and when they finally cracked through 18 inches of reinforced concrete, they helped themselves to the contents of 268 safety deposit boxes. The estimated haul was reported at around £500,000, though investigators and former gang associates would later suggest the true figure may have been closer to £3 million, a staggering sum in early 1970s money.
Within days of the crime being discovered, the British government issued a notice, a formal request that media outlets suppress coverage of the robbery, and an almost total blackout on reporting followed, leaving the British public with only rumor and speculation to fill the gap.
The operation began months earlier, when the gang's ringleader, Thomas Stevens, leased a small leather goods shop called Leasing at 89 Baker Street, just 2 doors down from the bank. The shop gave the gang a plausible reason to be on the premises at odd hours, and behind its shuttered front they began excavating a tunnel roughly 40 feet in length. The tunnel ran beneath the pavement and under a chicken and fast food restaurant that sat between Leasing and the bank. To mask the noise of digging, the gang played loud music inside the shop and worked primarily on weekends, when foot traffic outside was lighter. They reinforced the tunnel walls as they went and installed a crude ventilation system to prevent the buildup of dust. A thermic lance, a tool that burns through metal and concrete at extreme temperatures, was brought in for the final stage, cutting through the vault's reinforced concrete floor from below. You're watching Dark Verdict, where we investigate the cases that haunt us. The robbery might have gone undetected for much longer were it not for Robert Rowlands, an amateur radio enthusiast who lived in a flat on Wimpole Street, about a mile from the bank.
On the Saturday night of the break-in, Rowlands was scanning frequencies on his ham radio when he picked up a series of strange transmissions.
He heard at least 2 men speaking in guarded, tense language, relaying progress reports about breaking into a vault.
One voice used the call sign Mr. Fox. Rowlands recorded portions of the transmissions on a reel-to-reel tape recorder and contacted Scotland Yard to report what he had heard.
Officers took his information seriously, but they faced a daunting problem. With no precise location for the transmissions, they had to determine which bank in London was being targeted.
That night and into Sunday morning, Metropolitan Police officers checked approximately 750 banks across the capital. Patrol cars drove through the streets of central London while officers tested doors and peered through windows, looking for any sign of a break-in. Despite their efforts, they failed to identify Lloyd's bank on Baker Street as the target. The gang, working feverishly below ground, completed their entry into the vault and began emptying safety deposit boxes one by one.
They used crowbars and small explosive charges to pry open the individual boxes, scattering personal documents, jewelry, cash, and other valuables across the vault floor.
The thieves sorted through the haul on site, taking what they wanted and discarding items of lesser value. When staff arrived to open the bank on Monday morning, September the 13th, they found the vault floor breached, the boxes ransacked, and a trail of debris leading back into the tunnel. The initial police investigation moved quickly. Forensic teams recovered fingerprints and tool marks inside the tunnel and the vault, and detectives traced the lease of Leasing back to Thomas Stevens. Within weeks, 4 men were identified as core members of the gang. Stevens, a 44-year-old photographer and petty criminal from North London, was regarded as the mastermind. Anthony Gavin, a car dealer, had helped finance the operation and recruit participants. Reginald Tucker was identified as one of the primary diggers who spent long shifts underground. Benjamin Wolfe, who had criminal connections across London, served as a lookout and logistics coordinator during the weekend of the break-in. All 4 were arrested separately in the months following the robbery, and quantities of cash and jewelry were recovered from various addresses connected to the suspects. The trial took place at the Old Bailey in January 1973. Prosecutors presented physical evidence linking the defendants to both the tunnel and the stolen property. The recorded radio transmissions captured by Robert Rowlands were played for the jury, and Rowlands himself appeared as a prosecution witness, recounting how he had stumbled upon the gang's communications. The defense teams argued that the evidence was circumstantial, but the jury was not persuaded. Thomas Stevens was convicted and sentenced to 12 years in prison. Reginald Tucker also received a 12-year sentence. Anthony Gavin was given 8 years, and Benjamin Wolfe received 8 years. Despite the convictions, a vast portion of the stolen property was never recovered. Investigators estimated that only a fraction of the contents of those 268 boxes was accounted for, and many of the box holders never came forward to declare what they had lost, a detail that fueled further speculation about the nature of the items stored in the vault. One of the most persistent rumors surrounding the Baker Street robbery involves the reason for the government's denotice. Journalists at the time reported that certain safety deposit boxes may have contained compromising photographs of prominent public figures, including members of the royal family. The most widely circulated claim was that photographs of Princess Margaret in a compromising situation were stored in one of the boxes and that the government issued the denotice not to protect national security in the traditional sense but to prevent embarrassment to the crown. No official confirmation of this theory has ever been provided, and the Home Office has declined to comment on the matter in the decades since. The denotice itself expired after a few days, but by that point the media had largely moved on, and the details that might have been reported in the immediate aftermath of the robbery were never fully aired. The case drew immediate comparisons to Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes story The Red-Headed League, published in 1891. In that story, criminals lure a pawnbroker away from his shop with a sham job so they can dig a tunnel from his cellar into a nearby bank vault. The parallels with the Baker Street robbery were striking, and newspaper editors leaned into the connection. The Daily Telegraph reportedly ran a headline reading, "Let Sherlock Holmes solve this one," nodding to the fictional detectives' association with Baker Street. The coincidence of the location, the method, and the audacity of the crime gave the robbery a literary quality that set it apart from ordinary bank heists, and it cemented the case in popular memory as one of the most cinematic real-life crimes of the 20th century. The question of what else was inside those safety deposit boxes has never been definitively answered. Lloyd's Bank maintained that it did not keep records of the contents of individual boxes, as holders were not required to declare what they stored. This policy meant that the true value of the theft could never be accurately assessed. Some former investigators have suggested that the boxes may have contained not only cash and jewelry but also documents related to illicit financial transactions, blackmail material, and other items that their owners would not want to discuss publicly. The reluctance of many box holders to come forward and file claims supported this theory. In the years following the trial, journalists attempted to track down victims of the robbery, but many either refused to speak or denied owning a box at all. After serving their sentences, the convicted gang members largely disappeared from public view.
Thomas Stevens was released in the early 1980s and reportedly lived quietly in North London until his death.
Anthony Gavin relocated after his release and avoided further criminal convictions. The identities of other individuals who may have participated in the robbery but were never charged have remained a matter of speculation. Investigators at the time believed the core gang had assistance from at least 2 or 3 additional accomplices who were never publicly named. The tunnel itself, once the forensic examination was complete, was sealed by the bank, and Lloyd's eventually relocated its Baker Street branch. The building has since been repurposed, though a small plaque near the site acknowledges the events of September 1971. The Baker Street robbery also prompted a review of safety deposit box regulations across British banking. In the years following the heist, several major banks tightened access protocols, introduced dual-key entry systems, and invested in reinforced vault construction designed to resist tunneling from below. The British Bankers Association issued guidance in 1974 recommending that vault floors be embedded with vibration sensors capable of detecting sustained drilling or cutting.
These measures represented a direct response to the vulnerabilities exposed by the Baker Street gang.
Insurance companies also adjusted their policies, with some refusing to underwrite safety deposit box contents unless holders provided a verified inventory, a requirement that remains common in British banking today. Robert Rowlands, the radio enthusiast whose interception of the gang's transmissions remains one of the most remarkable elements of the case, gave several interviews in later years about his experience.
He described the eerie feeling of listening to the robbery unfold in real time, hearing men discuss breaking into a vault while he sat alone in his flat surrounded by radio equipment.
Rowlands expressed frustration that the police had been unable to locate the bank in time, noting that the transmissions continued for several hours and that the gang appeared completely unaware they were being monitored.
His recordings were returned to him after the trial, and he kept them for years as a personal memento of the night he inadvertently became a witness to one of London's most audacious crimes.
Subscribe to Dark Verdict, where we delve into the cases that haunt us and explore the intricacies of the human mind. And join us next time as we examine another fascinating case, one that will challenge our assumptions and push us to the limits of our understanding.